Hello, everyone. This is Lemko with History, and today I have on Bethany Sromovsky.
Hello.
Hey there. Welcome to the podcast. Many people know you who are going to be listening to this episode, but can you just give a little background about yourself for the European listeners?
All right. So, as Stark said, my name is Bethany. I'm 16 years old. I am from Pennsylvania, Wyoming Valley, and of course, I am carpatho-rusyn, and I'm a musician too as well. One of my big focuses on in Russian culture is the full costume. I think that's like really my passion with the whole culture.
What draws you to it? Because not a lot of people are interested in that. Gen Z people, it just kind of seems that, they're more interested in TikTok and stuff like that.
Well, I've always been interested in everything creative. As I said, I'm a musician. Like, I love art as well. So I think full costume really blends those two things together, like being Rusin and my love for art. And it's a really, I think, visible way to show that you're Rusin. It's not just like, it's really, it's hard to, like, if you see somebody wearing like the full costume, that, oh, they're Rusin, or at least Slavic, or if they aren't so well versed in it.
How much creative liberty do you have in what you do, or how many liberties do you take? Because there's this thin line between being accurate to the times, but then also producing your own work, right? At some point there, the creativeness, it overbalances it, so you're almost creating a new thing versus trying to do some historical standard.
Yeah, so I was actually reading an article about this the other day, and actually Viking era costume, and I think it depends on, honestly, like what I'm working on. If I'm trying to really get that historical accuracy in, I'll try to do that. But of course, with modern technology that we have today, or lack of resources or knowledge, that's not always possible. So, but other times I like to be more, like, have more liberty to do what I want and adapt it more into more of a modern fashion, so to speak.
And you collect folk costume pieces as well, right? It's not just making them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I collect them more than I make them. I It's been a while since I actually finished something, but it's more of like technique and trying to decipher how this was made based off of the knowledge I do have.
What's your favorite folk piece that you have?
That's a really good question. I really like them all, but of course, I think my crown jewels would be the Croy, the full costume I have from Szembro in Slovakia. It's an entire piece. I got it from a man in Pittsburgh, Ellis Island Vintage. I always talk him up. He is wonderful. I haven't had a chance to wear it though yet because I got it right before the pandemic started.
What's the one that's in a lot of? I think it's in your Facebook picture too. It's the one. It's kind of like the head. Is that a different one? What's that one called?
That was from Tiki Potok, actually, your
Ah, yes,
village.
yes, my village. I'm a homer for that town. So
Yeah, yeah, that was from when I was at the Studium the day we went to the village, and we did like a mock wedding reenactment, and the mayor got dressed us all up in the full costume, and it was really a really great experience.
well, that town is fascinating too because it's kind of an island in the middle of Slovak places. I know to the I think northwest there's a few Rusin towns, but honestly, it's kind of a mystery how they're still pretty Rusin. But I don't know. It'll be interesting next year when I go there and see how it is firsthand, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is that so we're both young people, right? Under 25, Gen Z, so to speak. I found it incredibly hard to attract Gen Z Rusin-Americans to be interested. This isn't the case in Europe, where I've actually found a lot of young people who are really interested, but just seems like people don't care here. Maybe it's because I'm, too damn boring. I don't know. Maybe I just sound too much like their history professor, and so they don't want anything to do with me. Just for me, it's been difficult. It really is frustrating me. Has this been your experience as well, or do you think because you're in a more Rusin area as well, I guess, so you have more actual physical experience with it. Is this a problem for you as well, do you think?
Oh, definitely. I'd say a good portion of the people at my school at least have some Rusin ancestry, but I'm not aware of anybody else at my school that actually does like identify as Rusin or have some awareness of like their actual ancestry. There are a lot that say that they're Russian and stuff like that, and I always talk to them like, oh, maybe you're not Russian, but they don't really want to. They don't really. I guess I don't know if it's they don't really care or that they don't want this random girl coming up to them and saying you're not what you think you actually are. And
yeah, I found that a lot of them just think it's cool that, oh, I'm Russian or something. I don't know what about it, but it's almost as if it doesn't. It's almost as if being Russian just isn't very appealing, I guess, because if you can say you're Russian, there's this whole actual state that you can identify with, right? There's this whole state. It's in the news even all the time. It's an important player on the world stage, and us as a community, it's kind of like, yeah, well, we've gotten incredibly screwed over the last 100 years. We don't have our own state. We're recovering and we're growing every year, but it's still just not the same level as almost everyone else around us. Do you think this is an actual issue that we can fix?
I do think it could be fixable, but I honestly don't know how. I've just been at a loss for years as to what to do, honestly, and that's like that kind of sucks, because you want to bring more awareness to it, but you just don't know how.
I also feel like our generation is a lot more individualistic too, that a lot of people don't even identify as anything, right? Or just American or whatever. There's just so much untapped potential there that you think that somehow if we can activate it, because you have to think in a large scale, there's hundreds of thousands of people. Just the amount that we have right now is, I don't know how many people really identify as Rusin in America right now. Well, what would you guess be? Maybe 20,000, 10,000? I don't know, something like that. It's low. It's low. But a deeper question is, do you really care about the problem? Because I can't talk, like I can't judge anyone for this, because I found it really hard to care about proselytizing, for lack of a better word, in my hometown, even though I swear 3/4 of the town is probably over half Rusin. I mean, dear God. It's just, I don't know. Do you care that much or not?
I used to really do that whole proselytizing thing. I think my dad does that a lot more now, actually. And I'll try to like tell them if the conversation leads that way, but I won't push it because you can't really change a lot of time what somebody believes if they're so ingrained to thinking that.
I also think too, Europe seems to be budding with potential in many ways. Even if you just look at the progress in Transcarpathia within the last year, even. I mean, dear Lord, how many new projects and people, Mahal, Tomasz, all these people coming out and doing all these things. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be that important anymore. And I guess that's awful to say, right? Moving on to a broader question, how is it around where you live? I mean, I know this is a historic mining community. I assume a lot of the population is Rusin, like you said. How is it there?
I mean, it's not bad. It's not great, I think in the last 10 or so years, yeah, I think 10 years now, at least in my town and like the town across the river, it's been like, I guess, upward development since we're one of the more richer towns in the valley. After a flood, we had a really big flood, and we got a lot of these grants from the government. So that has helped development, at least in my town. But the surrounding towns like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, not so much, but definitely Wilkes-Barre, Nanticoke. My dad's from Wilkes-Barre, so he says like from the time when he was a kid, like 60s, 70s, economic development has really gone down, causing a lot of people to move out, a lot of,
Do you see yourself living there long term?
yeah. I don't honestly see myself staying here forever, but like I want to move out after high school, or at least first few years of college. I want to get done here and then go elsewhere to where I think like Pittsburgh or something. But I'd like to come back eventually after I've had my world trotting, I guess.
Adventurous experiences, yes.
Hmm.
Would
Yeah.
you live anywhere in Carpathian Rus? Well, would you actually live it? I'm not saying forever. I'm not saying, you have your dacha and, the countryside, but would you ever live somewhere there?
Yeah, I would. Like the month that I was in Slovakia, like I really enjoyed that month, like living there and like in Prešov. It was a really nice like change of pace, I guess, from my area here and the countryside. It's nothing like here. It's crazy. So if I were to move, I'd move like into one of the cities or maybe even the countryside. I'm not a country person, but it's very enticing.
Yeah, I've found that. Well, I haven't been, so I shouldn't be saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, I'd move there." I don't know if I like it or not. To be honest with you, this actually brings me to another point that I find myself struggling a little bit on a daily basis, in that I have one. It's almost separate personalities in a way, but it's not that extreme. It's almost, I have one personality where I'm talking with Rusin people, I'm doing my Rusin things, and then the other one where it's not like I would be like in danger. It's not like anyone would look down on me, but it just, no one would really get it if I talked about Rusin things in general life or anything like that. Do you feel a frustration there? Do you feel a disconnect yourself?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the separate like sort of personalities, I guess. I have my Rusin life and then I have my like school life, work life, stuff like that. And like I do really try to like incorporate the two together, but it can be really hard. Like like you said, like just trying to talk to other people about it because they won't understand, or like you're trying to seem like, I guess, like special, even though we're not. It's just a fact of life, like my life, that I'm Rusin.
Do you ever feel imposter syndrome in a way, as if, because I feel it sometimes, is, I don't speak the language very well. I haven't been there, and even though I know a lot about it, it feels as though I'm not really connected to it in many ways, right? I know a lot of Rusyns, other Rusyns and such, but it was a lot worse when I first found out. But do you ever get that, or is that just not something that bothers you at all?
Oh yeah, I do get that a lot, but like I try to remind myself like there's no right way to be Rusin. So the fact of me being Rusin and that I'm trying to learn more and doing all this stuff and knowing all these other Rusyns, it really reassures me.
Do you think the time at the Studium really helped you with that?
Um,
Or do you think it made it worse in some ways because you finally realized how much you didn't know?
yes and no. That that point, realizing there's a lot I don't know. Yeah, I realized that, and I think it more enticed me to learn, get more like down and dirty into it, I guess. then made me like shy away from it, you know.
What did you think about the Studium in general? Honest opinions. I mean, I
Oh.
know this is going on YouTube, of course, so everyone's going to be listening. No pressure at all. But I
Yeah.
do want to hear, we can talk about this offline too, but
Yeah.
what's your opinion on it?
Overall, I'm like, honestly, it was hard. It was very hard, but it was some of the like best times of my life so far, and I think
In what ways was it hard?
yeah. So like a month before we left, I had a spinal surgery, so
Oh
that
dear.
yeah.
That might
So
be, that might impact your abilities a little bit.
yeah, and there's just so much physical activity that I was not expecting. And like my dad prepared me, trying to get me out and rebuilding my endurance, but oh boy, I was not expecting all that walking, especially uphill. So
Like, what were you guys doing out there? Chopping down trees and stuff, or like, I really want to know what's going on here. Building some like wooden churches. What's the deal?
kind of felt like it, honestly.
Oh
But
dear.
yeah, like the cobblestone, like uneven streets of Prussia, that really does a number on your feet, on your back. And we're walking around the city very often, almost every day. And of course, Carpathian Rus is mountainous. So you're gonna find yourself definitely a few hills that you're gonna have to climb or walk up.
I feel like I'm gonna bring my bike this time when I go. They shorten the walk in a little bit.
Yeah, I remember this one specific moment when we're at the castle in Starolubovnia, and there's a shortcut up the hill to like the entrance of the castle, where like the regular path was like zigzagging up the hill, but the shortcut was straight through, and it was like almost like probably an 80-degree angle up the hill.
Oh my god. Oh gee. What in the world? That doesn't seem like a shortcut. That seems more like a death sentence than
I know.
a shortcut.
And so I went up it, and I was heaving the whole time, wheezing.
Were you climbing eventually? I mean, like if it's like 80 degrees, like
Yeah. Yeah, some parts you did have to climb it. I don't know why. People thought it was a shortcut.
So would you go to it again? Would you go to it again? You think you would? Now, the first for some reason, to me, how people talk about it is almost like it's some type of rite of passage or something. Like people go once, but I don't hear many people go back. Is there a reason for that? Like, is it the same things every year?
Yeah. I was talking to one of my friends about it there. She said it was mostly the same thing every year, but like there are just some of the things that we did there that I would really love to do again, you know. So.
And did you guys skip Transcarpathia, or did you guys go to Transcarpathia your year?
No, we didn't go.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Did they? I go in a previous year?
Oh
remember,
gosh. Well, don't put me on the spot, dear
yeah,
God. I don't know.
remember
I don't know.
problem with trying to go.
Just playing telephone here. I do remember hearing something like way back in the day they did go to Transcarpathia. Such a shame. Well, perhaps in the future, if the central government gets their act together and recognizes us, maybe we can go. What do you think of what do you think of the political situation in the U.S. right now with the whole Rusyn movement?
That's a really good
cultural too.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Political, honestly, I don't know. Well, like there's nobody really that, at least that I know of, lobbying or like running for like government positions as Rusyns. Of course, there are Rusyns in government, especially in Pennsylvania. Nobody really campaigning in the government American political sphere for Rusyns. But culturally, I think definitely we still have a long way to go, of course. But, every year I think it gets better with more people.
I think in some ways. I think maybe in perhaps some others we've regressed in certain aspects, though, I would say. Would you agree with that or disagree? Because I think, gosh, I'm probably gonna get 50 angry emails about this. I think in many ways our organizations have kept falling behind where they need to be. I mean, I feel like I'm not gonna name any organizations, but just some tactics we're using are from 2002, and we're still using them 18 years later. And it's like, I think we maybe a little change of strategy here, maybe a little update,
Definitely.
stuff. You don't have to agree with me because I don't want you to get angry emails too. But,
no, I'll definitely agree with you. I think that too.
Well, and also you forgot we're part of the Rusyn Illuminati Club that meets once a month.
Yeah,
you forgot about that, Bethany. Gosh,
sorry.
Come on. Oh no, I shouldn't be telling the whole world. That sounds like, oh dear. Everyone forget that part.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come for everybody now.
Yeah.
Erase all the viewers.
Okay, so here's another thing that, gosh, I have such problems with. So I'm learning Russian and Rusyn at the same time, right? Russian is going along swimmingly. Rusyn, it needs a lot of work, if I'm being honest with you. What's your approach to learning the language, and how do you think it is right now, resources-wise, opportunity, etc.?
My approach, again, another very good question. Honestly, I don't really have a set approach. And if I'm going to be honest, I really haven't been keeping up with it as I should lately.
Well, there's nowhere to use it, I mean,
yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Resources-wise, there's definitely a lack of resources for English speakers, but especially trying to learn it in the US and only in the US, it can be really difficult if you don't have another Russian speaker that you know and that you can speak with. It would most likely be a very different case if you were to actually move to a Russian speaking area, because you get that immersion in the language. But like I said, America, not so much. You'd be very hard pressed to find a Russian speaker if you didn't already know one.
Oh, totally. But I even find this with Russian too. It's that I study Russian for half hour to 90 minutes a day, right? But when I'm not studying, I don't use it at all. There's no way to ingrain it, so to speak. There's no way to keep it up. And also, I feel I actually don't think the English resources are that bad. It's just there's not enough of them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so now I'm going to go to something that's probably also extremely controversial.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Rusyn music? Yay or nay? Do you like it? Do you like a lot of Rusyn music songs? Not?
Yeah, I like a lot of them. Like most of them you really only see though are folk songs, and there's definitely that untapped potential for Rusyn songs that aren't just folk songs.
Well, I think that's the problem too, is that, I can listen to folk songs all day, right? But it needs to evolve in a way. It's almost recalling to a past that's gone now. It's good to remember it, but we need to move into the future somewhat. I saw that this rap song by this guy from Mukachevo. He did this Ukrainian Rusyn kind of intermixed type of deal for the rap song or whatever.
Gosha Gashan?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I know. The video is a little weird, to be honest with you. Is it that one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
It's probably that. But even though I wasn't a huge fan of this song, I think we need a little more of that. We need a little new life, right? I'm not saying, just sell out and do just some standard pop songs, whatever. Just try to get your own feel to it. Because I don't know, if we focus so much on folk culture, it ignores the potential for creating new stuff, even, right? So
yeah, like that over reliance, I guess, on folk culture really creates like it's more of a museum type thing where like you aren't really propagating the culture into your daily life. You're just treating it as like something in a museum or like some reenactment, you know?
It feels almost like some like fandom.
Mhm.
Oh, let's like replay our favorite TV episodes from whatever TV series. I don't know, just perhaps many will disagree with me, but we really do rely on it too much. We need the stuff like, oh, this is, my Baba told me this, or just kind of the calling back to the old days. It's just not helpful anymore. There's a place for this, but when everything is like that, I can understand why a lot of young people wouldn't really care that much, right? I have no connection except genetically to that old. I don't remember any of that, right? Even my grandparents, they're in their 90s and they never did anything. They cooked some Rusin food, which I found out later was kind of Rusin food and kind of or like Hungarian food too. But just I don't know.
Yeah. Hmm.
Moving on to, I guess one of the last questions is, what are your future goals, activities, plans? Maybe making some videos, sewing some folk costumes. Just come at me with it. What are your plans? You don't have to reveal your whole game plan. But...
Yeah. Well, I would like to start making some videos. I've been trying to work on one for like since I guess Christmas break, but school. But eventually, I would like to actually get that done and put it out there. Probably not. I don't really want to ever sell full costumes. That's just not really something I'm interested in. Like my mom always tells me whenever I'm making something, like, "Oh, you should sell this." And I'm like, this is my hobby. I don't want to turn it into something that becomes stressful for me, you know?
Well, not everything needs to be turned into a business opportunity,
Exactly.
so to speak. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that bugs me a little bit too, where I'll be writing something or making, like, I don't necessarily even see Lemko with history as a business thing either,
Mm-hmm.
right? I see it more as my terrible art in a way. I don't see Russian Literature Society as necessarily art, though. I see that more as a business. But
Mm-hmm.
well, thank you, Bethany. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. So
Of course. Thank you for having me.
you're
It's such
welcome
an
back
honor.
on. You're welcome back on anytime.
Thank